Welcome to 28 Days and Beyond,
where we talk about our history, our heritage, and our culture.
I'm Amari.
I'm Kharisma. Welcome back. Hi, Amari.
What's up?
How are you?
How has your February been?
It's been delightful because
Yeah?
I've spent a large portion of it here on 28 Days and Beyond.
What else is there to do? What will I do for the next
I don't know.
11 months, I guess?
You gotta bring it back.
That's it. Yeah, yeah.
Sooner.
What's up with today's conversation?
We are talking about hair.
Okay.
Hair.
Tell me more.
The complexities of black hair, what it represents, the struggle that sometimes accompanies us just being in our natural state, all of those things.
Just gonna say something, you let me know
All
how you
right.
feel about this. Don't you find it a little irritating that this is even a conversation in 2019?
You know, I do.
Yeah.
I do. Only because if you think about how ridiculous it is
Yeah.
that people have to defend accepting themselves and literally just presenting themselves to the world in the way that they were born, like it blows my mind. And I've had numerous, like not enough time on this show for the whole season,
Yeah.
experiences where people have said, done, or touched my hair. It's kind of crazy when I think about it. Like one instance, I remember I was working on a set, and it was literally like 110 degrees in the shade. Like
Yep.
it was so hot, and I wore my hair curly because who wants to straighten their hair when it's that hot? Like
Right.
it just doesn't make sense. And one of the producers literally like came over and like patted my hair down and was like, "Oh well, let's just."
Yeah.
I'm like, A, don't touch me.
Yeah.
B, the more you touch it, the bigger it's gonna get.
They didn't know that.
No.
But check, because I guess in your line of work, you know, that this is a more central concern.
Yes.
Right? I mean, obviously you're presenting yourself to the world. You have to look presentable.
Right.
Right? And for them that means, you know.
Appealing more to the European aesthetic.
There it is.
That's what that means.
There it is. Yeah, yeah.
And for me, I'm happy that, not happy that we're having this conversation, but I am happy that we're having more women that are willing to just embrace themselves.
Word.
In
Which
various
is, I mean,
facets.
you know, that's something that we've seen. I remember in high school, because I've always had a thing for natural hair. You know what I'm saying? You know, I'm OG with it, right?
That's
but
what's
no,
up.
but I remember in high school, it used to be like, yo, she got natural hair, right? And now
it's,
I mean, it's pretty much, it's everywhere.
As it
Yeah,
should
yeah.
be.
Yeah, definitely so.
We need options.
You need options. So to talk about some of those options, the trials and tribulations, we're joined today by Camryn Allen, and she'll be breaking this down when we come back on 28 Days and Beyond. Welcome back to 28 Days and Beyond. We're joined now by Nicole So-Called Allen.
Yes.
Yeah.
I like that introduction.
I mean, you know.
Me too.
You know, it describes who she is.
Thank
Yes.
you.
How you doing?
I'm okay.
That's
I'm
what's up.
excited to be here.
Yeah, yeah.
Good. Glad to have you.
Today we're talking about hair.
Yes, we are.
In the intro, you know, one of the things we were airing a grievance
Yes.
with basically, in 2019, that this is even a conversation, right?
Yeah.
There's the external aspect of it, how, you know, people are judging our hair, but there's also the internal things, like the struggles that we deal with regards to our hair. I'll share first.
Yes.
My curl pattern isn't as tight as I'd like it to be, so when I was locking, right, it took me, I think, about 2 years to lock. And you know that in-between stage where it's like, what's he trying to... It was rough, man. You know what I mean? I just wanted to share that.
Thank
You
you
made
for
it,
sharing
though.
that, Amari. This is a safe space, right, Cam? Thank you for sharing
Yes.
that.
What have been some of your experiences?
You know, a lot of things from you know, being excited to try new things to shame when it doesn't turn out right, or when, you know, people
That's real.
Yes. When you know, mom has always been very like particular about the way you look, so dealing with that at home and then feeling like, okay, well, something's wrong with me, I don't know how to do it. Because I think natural hair is like some type of self-knowledge that you have.
Yeah, sure.
So when I didn't have that, you know, under wraps, I would get frustrated with myself and like, you know, give up and then go back to braids and stuff, which is fine. I can rock braids, but like, I'd rather be able to do just my own hair the way I want to. So.
Well, that's the thing. We talked about it a little bit. Like, there's been this notion across the board that a certain aesthetic as it pertains to hair is the only acceptable one. And that aesthetic aligns with the European aesthetic, you know? So if you're in a professional space, and I'm using air quotes because I think the whole idea of it is ridiculous, but if you're in a professional space, your hair has to be straightened or somehow it's less professional or you don't look as presentable. And fairly recently there was another, because there have been several instances where a woman was fired from working in television because she decided that after she came back from maternity leave and having her child, that she no longer wanted to straighten her hair on television. She wanted to wear it in, you know, its natural state, and she was fired for it. So for me, there's always been this crazy, not only a struggle like with the outside world, but internally for Black women, because we've been told so often that us in our natural state is unacceptable. So how do you feel about that?
I really relate to it, especially growing up in PWIs, like all white schools my whole life. You know, and then mom having like a certain kind of natural hair was okay. So like if my hair was like really, really curly, if it turned out right, like instead of me just washing it and it just being like, you know, hello, like just being there. So that wasn't acceptable. So, and then people touching my hair all the time. My mom's a grown woman. We were at my brother's basketball game, and an older white man who's also had a son on the team. You know, my brother scored points, whatever. And my mom had her natural hair out, and the grown man was like really excited for, you know, my brother James, and patted my mom on the head like she was a dog or something. So I don't know, there's a lot of struggles that come with it, and I think it's interesting, but I also think it needs to be talked about.
But you know, we're also talking about in the past, you know, 15 years, we've really seen the natural hair revolution. There are people who are making hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars off of YouTube.
Well, yeah, I was going to say millions, but
well, I mean, off of
the hair industry is like $1 billion.
I mean, and then, you know, obviously, like, there are people who, those tutorials kill me. Every once in a while, you know, you get on like, what?
Did you get sucked into the vortex?
Okay, right now, because they're always, you know, they talk over it.
I was just watching it.
Yeah, but it's like, you know, so there are a lot of, because for a while, a lot of people would complain and say, you know, I don't know what to do with my natural hair. You know, but now there are so many options. How has that sort of shaped your journey?
It's been very helpful, especially because my mom is not she's more supportive now, but we're both very impatient when it comes to, so like if I don't get it the first time, and she didn't teach me how to cornrow, didn't teach me, so like simple things that are usually like a save hairstyle or a safe hairstyle, I don't know how to do those yet, but the videos and things on YouTube and my friends always say, well, this product, try this product. It's helpful and it's really exciting. But then like I have to deal with when it doesn't turn out right for my hair, or when a product that I bought doesn't work on my hair, then it's just a lot of frustration. But I'm trying to like get through that, because I realize that's not helping me progress in any way if I'm leaning towards just giving up and being frustrated with myself. So.
Well, we can talk more about the hair product graveyard and more, but we have to take a break here on 28 Days, but we'll be back with more 28 Days and Beyond right after this. We're back with more 28 Days and Beyond, and we're still here with Camryn Allen. So one of the things that I kind of wanted to get into more is, you know, we talked a little bit about outside perception and kind of just the struggle of figuring out what products work, figuring out how to do your own hair, because that in itself is a journey. But I want to get into also some of the internal stuff that happens with Black women and how we perceive ourselves. So can you talk about that a little bit?
Sure. So when I was younger, and it was, you know, my mom was just doing like cornrows and stuff, whereas my natural hair was out all the time. And then I started moving into high school when I was trying to do that stuff. I was, you know, but the media is telling me that, like, and in my house and other Black family members telling me that if my hair is not a certain kind of curly or certain or straightened or whatever, so on, it doesn't look professional, but more importantly that it's not beautiful. So when I would look at my hair and I would wash it and just kind of like stare at myself in the mirror, I would really like break down and cry, because I was like, this is not like my perception of beauty, and like what, especially at the white schools, that's not what beautiful is. People don't think I'm pretty at this school. So like growing up through like until maybe like sophomore year of high school, I was just going through thinking I wasn't attractive or anything. So it was that kind of struggle. But like I was saying earlier, I think it's beautiful now that people are coming out and, you know, being proud of their hair and not putting up with people who are saying they need to straighten their hair or whatnot, and they shouldn't. because it does do damage. It did do damage to me, but the movement is helping me a lot. So,
Thank you for sharing that.
Product graveyard.
Oh yeah. Like if I could listen, I probably could take a few vacations just based on the money I've spent trying to figure out what products actually work for my hair, what products actually bring moisture to my curl pattern. Like, it's crazy.
It's a mess.
It's crazy. You don't have that problem, do you, Amari?
I'm going for the hobo look. You know what I'm saying? I'm good.
No, but especially when you're trying to style and gel, sometimes it's too flaky. And
see, because I can't use gel.
Any gel.
I don't like gel. I can use, there's a Blueberry Bliss
yep.
line that I really started liking, and they have a curly jelly, but it doesn't
Are they a sponsor for the show?
They are not, but because we're bonding here, and I'm saying that particular product line is not a part of the hair product graveyard, so I'm just
it smells really nice too.
But I mean, I'm joking, but I'm not joking. I mean, they're not a sponsor. If they are interested, they can definitely they can holler at us, but that's another conversation. But one of the things I think is really cool also is you had mentioned, right, the hair care industry is $1 billion industry, and we're seeing I won't say market share, right, but we're seeing more black entrepreneurs who are marketing products specifically towards black people and black hair, so we're addressing these issues. I think that's a really powerful and positive thing. I want to know what it would take to shift the perception that we have of ourselves. So for instance, a lot of people do argue that when you see natural hair on TV, what there's like curl patterns, curl grades, a 1C, a 3, no?
Oh yeah, to 4C.
It's like a curl type thing.
Exactly.
Which I'm kind of on the fence about because I feel like in some aspects it's another way of like separating us, compartmentalizing us, because there's still, even within that spectrum, there is kind of an affinity to certain curl patterns versus others.
And that's what I'm saying.
But the flip side of that is it can be helpful in determining what products may work for your type of curl pattern. I'm on the fence about that, but I understand where you're going. I don't want to cut you off.
Well, because I mean, especially because we're talking about, if we are going to shift the perception of ourselves, so you are seeing people with natural hair, but it's not your natural hair, right?
Yeah.
Because we still if you see a black woman with natural hair in a commercial, she's probably of this particular curl pattern, right? What do you think it's going to require for us to shift our own perception of ourselves and our hair, all aspects of it?
I think we just have to, I don't think we can rely on, people running the marketing industries or anything. I think it has to come from us and whom we're so the black people surrounding us, like starting with your family, like raising your kids, and especially your black women, talking to them about the beauty that comes with natural hair, because that's something I didn't have, which is, if I'm not getting from the people I look up to most, then I'm definitely not going to think of it on my own until I was, met a lot of my other black friends who were saying, why don't you just wear your hair out, like I would support you, stuff like that. So I think it's going to come from us instead of, waiting on it.
That's what's up.
Wow. Well, we're unfortunately out of time, but thank you so much for coming down and sharing your story with us. It's important for us to keep having these conversations, so really appreciate it. And we'll share more products off camera.
Yes, always.
Sure.
We'll be back with more 28 Days and Beyond right after this.
And we're back with 28 Days and Beyond. Kharisma?
Amari.
Yeah.
I think you asked a really important but a very big question.
I always do.
This is true sometimes. That's not.
I ask the hard-hitting questions, okay?
But the question that you posed today about how can we get to a place where we have more acceptance for ourselves, I think it starts with self and realizing the bigger picture. So I'm gonna take you on a journey and then I'm gonna bring you back.
Oh, I'm walking with you.
Okay, thank you. I remember being a kid, and I remember this instance like it was yesterday. My parents made it a point to make sure that I had black Barbie dolls and dolls to play with that looked like me. And I remember one of our older neighbors, she was an older white woman, she said something to my mom about why did I have black dolls or something to that regard, and she asked her something about her granddaughter, like how many black dolls does your white granddaughter play with?
Right.
I want my daughter to be fantasizing with people that look like her. So if you think about that from the time that we're kids, even now, I see a lot of my friends that are parents, and it's a struggle to find, like they're more, but there's still a struggle to find dolls and things that look like us. So if you think about what that does to the psyche of a young person that is Black when they're a child, if everything that they're fantasizing with all of this glory and wonder doesn't look like a reflection of them, what that does to our psyche. And then you grow up and you see images on TV that don't reflect you. So that tells you that all of this stuff that's other is what is coveted and what's looked at as beauty. So I think for us, we have to start doing things where we have more safe spaces to see reflections of ourselves. I think that helps. And then also understanding why people do certain things. If I can make you hate you, then I can stay in a position of power.
So you're just gonna wait till the end of the show to bring this up?
I mean, I drop knowledge and then I let you think about it.
But I'll tell you this, because one of the things that I think is extremely crucial about what you're saying is that requires, listen, I'm just go ahead and say it. I believe that we lack a sense of racial self-esteem, and part of the reason is because we're so hell-bent on getting the approval of white people and making white people like us, right? And what's important is because I think about this with my daughter, right? People say, oh, we're gonna buy, because we say, listen, you wanna buy gifts, you buy books.
Yeah.
But no, all her dolls are Black, right?
Yeah.
We don't, all Black, all of the books are Black people. But all the ones that talk are like, well, for Black girls, it's all about, hey, your hair is special, your hair is beautiful. My daughter doesn't have a hair complex, and I'm starting to wonder.
And I don't want to give her one, right?
And I'm starting to wonder if all the books that you give her are saying how great and wonderful. She'll be like, yo, why are y'all talking about my hair? She doesn't know anything else, right? And that's because we're going to instill in her a sense of racial self-esteem, just like just like your parents have done in you. And that, I think, is extremely important. But if the parents don't have a sense of racial self-esteem, and that's not what they can, like, they're gonna pass their complexes on to their children.
Right.
They telling me I gotta wrap it up, but I do it out. This has been another episode of 28 Days and Beyond,
where we talk about our history, our heritage, and our culture. We'll see you next time.